is a narrated version of Chapter 19, Sex Crimes. The term sex crime generally refers to any confluence of criminal acts and sexual acts. Those who commit sex crimes are accurately referred to as sex offenders. Sex crimes are, by definition, deviant from a legal perspective. However, the cultural and ideological deviance of any particular sex crime can vary widely. Sex crimes are themselves not static or universal constructs. Instead, they evolve with cultural expectations and criminal statutes. Consent. A major factor in the consideration of whether or not a sex crime has been committed is the issue of consent, which is the act of giving permission with full awareness of the consequences. In some instances, the victim is able but unwilling to give consent. In other instances, the victim is willing but unable to give consent, as in the case when the victim is too young or impaired by drugs or alcohol or some mental defect. Age is a factor in consent with the victim when the victim is legally viewed as too young to give consent. Drugs and alcohol. In some instances, drugs and alcohol are given to a victim by an offender to facilitate rape. Physical or mental disability. In many jurisdictions, it is a crime to have sexual contact with a person who is incapable of consent by reason of being physically or mentally disabled. Types of sex crimes. Rape, sexual assault. Rape is non-consensual sexual penetration. It is a form of sexual assault. Any non-consensual sexual contact. Neither required force or evidence of force, only a criminal intent on the part of the offender and the absence of consent on the part of the victim. Child molestation. Child molestation refers to any sexual contact with a child or adolescent below the age of consent. Bestiality refers to any sexual act with an animal, while zoophilia refers to a clear preference for engaging in sex with animals. Voyeurism refers to sexual interest in or the practice of spying on people engaged in intimate or private behaviors such as undressing, sexual acts, urinating, or defecating. Fetish burglary. A sexual fetish is the attribution of erotic or sexual significance to a non-sexual inanimate object or non-sexual body part. When burglary is committed in whole or in part to gather items for sexual purposes, it may be referred to as a fetish burglary. Fetish burglars prefer used objects and garments. The item must have been previously owned, touched, or otherwise possessed by someone, often a specific person, so that there is greater meaning in the acquisition. Necrophilia. Necrophilia refers to the persistent sexual arousal associated with the dead or sexual activity with the dead. Necrophilia enters public awareness in one of two ways. One, it is often revealed as an adjunct to the activities of sexual murderers who violate the corpses of their victims. Two, necrophilia is often revealed as part of a funeral home scandal where current or former employees are found to have been committing sex acts on bodies in their care. Prostitution, soliciting, sex trafficking. In many jurisdictions, it is a crime to offer money for sex, to receive money for sex, to transport persons across borders for the purpose of prostitution, which is trafficking, or to live off the earnings of a prostitute. This is by no means universal, as there are legalized forms of prostitution in many countries, usually restricted to a particular area. Developmental issues. 3 factors are found to be consistently associated with the sexual preferences of rapists. 1, a sexually inappropriate family environment. 2, use of pornography during childhood and adolescence. 3, deviant sexual fantasies during childhood and adolescence. The convergence of these circumstances creates a foundation for the development and nurturing of deviant sexual preferences through modeling and vicarious learning. Female sex offenders. There are by far more male than female sex offenders, and males are by far more aggressive. However, female sex offenders are historically misunderstood, vastly underreported as males and females play two gender roles, and are increasingly common in the criminal justice system as social gains awareness. Sex crimes and technology. Technology does not cause sex crimes, but it can facilitate it. The advantage of the internet is that sex offenders can use this to search for, target, and even stalk, groom, or survey their intended victims from a distance and with varying levels of anonymity. This ends this narrated version of this PowerPoint presentation.